come with me to make some little bats. Here are the tools that I used. I used an orange stick. These are usually for doing nail art, but they work with polymer clay very well. These are just standard toothpicks. They're also very useful. I have a broken one. I'll be using that in the stand for these bats. Then I also have another nail art tool. These are usually used to make dots or flowers. This has just come out of the freezer. I've already created one bat, as you can see here, but it's not finished. It has a face and everything. It's got its wings, all that good stuff. But I want to add some texture to it to make it look like a bat would. So I'm going to use my orange stick at first, kind of give it a little bit of line work, a little bit of texture. For me, I don't have a great process for this. I'm kind of just doing it by feel, what feels right, what feels like it's going to look the best. And it stands up, which is nice. I'll be baking it that way as well. This little purple bit here is going to be the base of the stand for one of the bats. I wanted to go with a simple shape, just a little circle with a rod sticking out of it. So I have made a line of clay, and I'll be wrapping a toothpick on the inside of that line. I'm showing you the texture on my bat because I realized I haven't done that yet. And there's the flash, so you can see the line work a little better. I love its cute little face. It makes my heart so happy. So here's the clay that I was working with. I wanted to show that it's actually a marbled dark gray and black. This won't actually matter later on, but I just really like how this clay looks. I do still have some left. I might make it into a necklace or something later. Here's some more line work on the top of the bat. I guess on the bat's back, but that's the top to us. I really wanted it to look like it was hairy. But also I had to make sure that I didn't get it too warm, because otherwise the bat would melt a little bit. And here's the result of the texture work on the back of the bat. You can really see the detail here, and I really do enjoy how it came out. I think it looks really lovely. And I got some purple clay on the bat. I was a little sloppy. Now I'm putting some texture work on the tummy, kind of really just making it all look like it's cohesive, all kind of the same bat. I do end up doing a little bit of texture work on the face, but not as much. And I'm actually going to speed this up and make it even faster, because I really do spend a lot of time working on the texture, getting it just how I want it. It's definitely a process, but it's so worth it. Now I want to show you how I did the eyes, even though the eyes have already been done. I just really want to make sure they pop. Since I had done so much texture work, I just stick my little nail tool in there, turn it a little bit, and voila, you have some eyes. And this is my first little bat. I really love it. Now I'm going to work on the stand for the bat. So I've already got my base, as we talked about earlier. I'm just kind of trying to make it a little more of a circle. I'm not shooting for perfection. I just want something that's a little bit flatter, as circular as I can get. So now I'm going to put this toothpick, I'm rolling it into this clay, as you can see, to make kind of a sturdier base. Since you bake polymer clay at a low temperature, you can generally have like a toothpick or something like that in there. However, you will want to check to make sure that your oven is okay to do that. Mine is, but I can't speak for everybody. Now I'm attaching the stand to the base to make sure it's the angle that I want it to be. I plan to attach that to the tummy of the bat. That way it stays up. Now I'm deciding that I want to make a second bat. I was hoping to make one that was a little bit smaller than my first one, but not too tiny. So I'm starting with the head and the body. And now I'm squeezing out some clay. I've sped up all of this footage, by the way. So I've got the head and the body, like so. And now I'm going to draw out some wings. I just take a toothpick and I go very slowly. Though again, this footage is sped up, so don't worry. If you're a lot slower than this, that's a good thing. Take your time. I've been working with polymer clay for a long, long time, since I was a little kid. And I've gotten pretty fast at some things, but really intricate work isn't one of those things that I'm fast at. I'm just using a toothpick to kind of shape out the wings. And then you'll see the little bat that I'm left with. Alright, so here I'm finishing up my wing shape. And as you can see, it's looking a little rough, but we are going to attach it to the body. I'm giving it a little bit of a shape first, and then kind of just attaching it to the back of the bat. That way you can kind of see the shape that the bat is taking. I've got our little head, our little wings, our little body, and I'm just kind of using a texture tool, our toothpick in this case, to add some texture to the body, but also it helps affix all the pieces together. This is nice if you have some small pieces to work with that do also need a texture. It's kind of a easy way to put them all together. Same thing here, we're just going to add a little more texture on the other side, kind of help put the head and the body and the wings together, while also adding that texture that we're looking for. So now we have our little bat body, and I'm going to work on some little bat ears. I've already got one, but I want to show you just how tiny they are. So even that's too big. And I'm going to roll it and pinch it and make it even smaller. And then what I do is I make them into like a teardrop kind of shape. Not quite a circle. And then I'm going to push it down onto the head and it'll make a triangle. I'll show you here in a second. Here's the second ear on the bat, and at this point they don't need to be super symmetrical or anything like that. Since we're going to be adding a face and texture, we'll be able to kind of mock it up and make sure that they're as even as we want them to be, as pointy as we want them to be. You don't really have to worry about it at this stage. Here I'm adding a bunch more texture to the back of the bat, similar to what we saw with the bigger version. And I'm paying extra attention to where the wings attach to the body, where the head attaches, making sure that they're joined completely, really making sure that the texture is how I want it to be. Now again, using the nail tool, I made some eyes, and then I used a toothpick to just draw a mouth on them. I'm also making the smaller base. It's almost identical to the bigger one, just smaller. Initially, I couldn't tell if I wanted to bake it on the stand, and I'm glad I decided not to. You'll see why. But this is essentially how I envisioned the bat to look on the stand. This is after they've come out of the oven. So here is my base, and here's the smaller base. And then what I have are actually gel nail polishes. These are just ones that you could get at really any place, but the ones that I have are the magnetic kind, where you can kind of do some special effects if you use magnets in conjunction with them. I've decided to go with green for the eyes. I felt like that would be a nice color, not making them too spooky. And then I'm actually going to paint that color on the bats, which is why I said earlier that it didn't really matter that I used marbled clay for these bats. Now this shade that I'm using here is going to be for the mouth. It's kind of a nice silvery color. And then this color is going to be for the base. I'm actually starting by painting the bases first. I have sped this up to be 10 times the speed. So I'm painting it and I'm using the magnet to kind of move the colors around how I want to. And then I paint the stick part, do the same thing. And then I cure them under my LED light. And then round 2, I'm going to do a second round of color. Then we're going to finish this off with a top coat. And again, just paint over it. And then I will cure it a little longer with my LED light. And here's how they turned out. I really love how shiny and whimsical they are. Now we're on to painting the bats. And I'm going to start with the eyes and mouth first. Then I'll paint the body. I wanted to get the eyes and face done and cure them, because then that way if I make a mistake, I can easily wipe it off. Here's how the detail work looks on the face. I've already cured it, so it's nice and shiny. So now here's what the bats look like when they get painted. Are you ready? Ta-da! They're so shiny. So it's the same process. I do 2 coats of color and then a top coat on them. They're extremely shiny, very sturdy. They're so cute. Here's the other bat. Again, so cute. I really like how they turned out. They have like that cat eye effect. You can't really see it in normal day-to-day light, but with the flash, it's really noticeable. And then here's the base, and that's how I glued them on. Thank you for coming with me on this little journey. Bye, Sprinkles.